Warm welcome, this is Markus Termin, Astrologisches Stundenbuch, Astrological Book of the Hours. It's the 12th of September 2024. The moon is in the sign of Capricorn and the sun is in the sign of Virgo. This is the picture for it, and that makes a trine position in between sun and moon, which is basically harmonica. We can also talk about the earth forces, because Uranus is in earth too, form a grand trine. It's not exact, but as the moon is going to pull over, and later on, not today, but 2 days from now, is even going to touch Pluto back in Capricorn, this makes sense, in the sense of an earth foundation, to put it that way. Looking at the moon in Capricorn, you might realize that the moon is in opposition to Mars in the sign of Cancer. Mars is always the one who's opening up the room, who wants to have new rooms to go somewhere. Maybe the reason is because he's the first outer planet. We have two inner planets, which are actually Mercury and Venus, and then throughout the cosmic circles, Mars is the first outer planet beneath the sphere of the Earth. And when we have this opposition, Moon to Mars, it's obviously the feelings that have a tendency to, in Capricorn, responsibility, take care for old things, don't over-exaggerate with the scheme of feelings in general. And then the one who is trying to opening up rooms within the Cancer sign tries to put up, as in most important facts, is the feelings, is the idea of, even opening up a new grand family, If somebody owns a Mars in the sign of Cancer and, for instance, he's leading a company, he will do it just like a family. That's a certain quality to meet people in the sense of, you're all part of my family. This is actually what Mars does in the sign of Cancer. But he's a weak one in the sign of Cancer because he's not at home there. And whenever Moon and Mars are in an opposition, which is the case today, it's like we're going out there, but we're going nowhere at the same time, because our feelings just are fixed down there with the Moon in the sign of Capricorn. And so it could be that we are running in circles. Running in circles in general is also the language that is overall connected with this chart, because there are a whole lot of oppositions which are, besides of the Moon and Mars opposition, are not on an exact point, but they are still working. There's the opposition in between Saturn and Sun, which just passed yesterday and is still very strong. That is the opposition of getting things done again, with the Sun in Virgo, and she has additional powers with Mercury, and to say it again and again, the dissolving structures in the sign of Pisces. Then we have the opposition in between Chiron and Venus, which is upbuilding the Venus Libra forces in general and the Aries forces in general too. So a whole lot of oppositions. Oppositions are creative aspects. Creative means we got to do something new. We got to find something new, actually. That is interesting. And having said that, this might not be as interesting for you if you're outside of Germany, but for us Germans, it's an important event that happened yesterday night at the 11th, because we have a bridge in Dresden There are many bridges in Dresden, and you might have heard that Dresden is the city that was badly destroyed by firestorm bombing at the end of the Second World War. And this bridge came down. It was the first thing. It was exploded by Nazi soldiers at the end of the war. So the Russian army couldn't conquer Dresden, or at least this was the intent to do it. 1945 it was destructed, and the name giver of this bridge is a princess. Interesting, she has Lilith in Pisces, and there are a lot of connections to her own personal charts too. But the most interesting connection towards this is the chart of the destruction of the bridge itself, 1944, to its downcoming yesterday. And as you can see, we have an exact Mars position to that. Mars was in Aries at the time when they made it, when they destroyed it on purpose, and Mars is now in this is the inside chart. Mars is now in Cancer, and you can see this is really an exact square. This is what we are looking for, you know. So the question in consideration is, what has the destruction by the army forces 1944 have to do with the downcoming, with the fall of this bridge just yesterday? Is there a connection? And yes, there is a connection. This is the connection indeed is that we are again confronted with aggressions from Russia towards possibly our country and things like that, coming from the east. You know, this is the big elephant in the room, and of course the Germans think they can just provide foreign countries with weapons and whatever they send over there without taking responsibility of their own and having even the imagination that. And when we talk about bridges, you know, bridges, bridge builder, the big bridge builder, the Pope is called the big bridge builder. Whenever a bridge comes down, you know, it's of course a minitical. You know, it says something. Generally speaking, if we go to the idea of it happens by chance, you know, have you ever thought about that? It happens by chance. What does this mean? On one side, we have determination. Everything is kind of the result of action and reaction. Out of that, we construct the laws of physics, you know, which are important for such a bridge. And then there's chaos on the other side, the unforeseeable, things that come in by chance, you know. The old Babylonians called that the Tiamat snake, you know, or Tiamat snake, the things that come by chance and always are a challenge to the regular order that civilization needs to hold a certain standard against nature, against the threats of nature, and also against social threats in the sense of destabilization of you know, the community of being humans. You know, this is what is the case. But if you go over to the concept that it's kind of ridiculous to give out laws of natural science, and you know, it's like the laws of natural science are the mice, you know, and they are eating a big bread, you know, out of a structure that is no structure at all, but is just being built up by chance. You know, there's a big cake by chance, and we're just grabbing single laws of natural science out to have a stable ground to say, yes, this is foreseeable. Things are happening because of this and that, and there's always a background and blah blah blah, something besides that. But if you're not believing in that, the sense nothing happens by chance, um, makes the word chance a zero meaning word. Actually, we can skip that word. It's not interesting at all. And of course, when a bridge comes down, and it was destructive by military forces 1945, there is a meaning, and there is a minute taker saying something about that. And of course, Mars is important in those charts then, if this is happening. And as you see, we have the perfect Mars to Mars square. We do have also Lilith in the sign of Libra at the same time. So we can even ask the question, was it a national downfall of the bridge by nature? Was it really, No one was hurt, interesting enough. There's no damage done with human beings, but there could have been people hurt. 5 minutes before it came down at 3 o'clock in the night, a tramway, the streetcars crossed the bridges, which are very heavy and things like that. So if nothing happens by random, to put it out clear, then we must see the connection in between those two charts, and we must be able also as spiritual beings to hear the message that is behind that, Well, that's what I wanted to say for today, with no conclusion ready on that yet. Just remember, for the private use of the energy of the day, we're in the Capricorn mood situation, and this opposition of course shows up in any personal chart at the same time, and there are so many oppositions. This is a moon opposition to Mars, this is a sun opposition to Saturn, this is a Venus opposition to Chiron, and when the moon will move over to the sign of Sagittarius, we again then will have an opposition of the moon towards Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. So what's the idea of the energy of the day? The energy of the day is very, very, high cooking energy. There's a big fuss going on. Can we take positions? How can we find compromises? How can we radicalize our view of things? And overall, we have Saturn retrograde ruling, saying I'm dissolving structures. Now, of course, a bridge coming down is a dissolving structure, and it's just a symbol for other dissolving structures coming down just as well. So what can we possibly do? Step aside, save our little space that we can make a living, what we have to do, and don't get involved into the hype and spin, because a lot of the things that are going on out there are manipulated. Thank you very much for listening. This is Markus Termin at the 12th of September 2024. In case you want to get in contact with me, choose this mail address up there with date, time, and the place where you're born. And down here at my blog site in German words, because I'm a German astrologer, you'll find the conditions for a consultation. Better take this.